Hey guys, Jay here, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about my personal healing build for Archbosses, so let's get right into it. First, let's talk concept of the build. Archbossing is huge, especially with the release of Queen Bellendir and Tevent. Getting your hands on these drops can mean large amounts of Lucent, which overall strengthens your build and ultimately your guild's capability. So in order to build effectively as a healer, we need to consider how boss dropping works, or at least what the community has kind of agreed on. The devs sort of gave us a clue in the last update, but it seems like boss drops are dependent on the amount of damage you, your party, and ultimately the guild does. Essentially, if you do a lot of damage, then your party's overall damage will increase, and if all parties in the guild are doing the most damage, then someone in the guild is more likely to get the drop than an individual not in a group. Additionally, there is a speculation that if you die during the fight, your chance at the drop decreases significantly, because it seems as though parties that are doing large amounts of damage happen to have a better chance at gear, and that dying impacts your ability to get the drop. We're going to build around that concept. So let's start with stats. Stats are important because they enable us to be effective. I decided to go with an even spread of stats to increase our survivability, damage potential, and overall utility. As a healer, it is important to put stat points into wisdom, as it gives us the ability to heal effectively, but we also need to consider putting points into dexterity for increased damage on the boss. As we discussed earlier, it is important to do both damage and healing to have the best chance at the boss loot, so I figured that an even spread makes sense and is the most versatile for future bosses. For weapons and gear, just use the best gear you got, as this will automatically be the most effective for your class. Now, moving into the skills. While there could be many combinations, I specifically chose these for both great healing and heavy single target sustained damage. While doing damage is important, it is almost more important for us to bring our main AoE heals to increase our group's chances of getting the drop, because like we said earlier, dying can significantly reduce our chance. But I will discuss more on the spec section and go further on the rotation section as well. For passives, I chose these ones to give a decent spread between healing efficiency and damage, because again, we're the healers and need to focus on our role, but also because this is an important boss, we need to take some damaging passives as well. For masteries, I really never change these from my PvP masteries as it becomes expensive, but for wand, I like to run the middle to redemptive penance and then all the way through the top. For the bow, if you have the ability to change these, run the bottom row all the way and then halfway through the middle for the most damage and utility. Now for specs, starting with wand, and because we are focused on single target sustained damage, bring just effect duration and curse for touch of despair. This is our main dot damage dealer, so maximizing our single target damage on this is important. Next, for curse explosion, grab the extra damage and turn this into focus target, which gives us great single target damage and decreases its overall cooldown. Next, turn corrupted magic circle into decaying touch to give even more dot damage. For swift healing, we're only going to bring consecutive use in case of emergencies. For time for punishment, grab increased effect duration and burning time to again get more dot damage. Fountain of life, I will still bring both of these to keep our teammates fully healthy and also provide some utility with our mana efficiency. For the bow specs, under strafing, grab gale and consecutive use for increased damage, and for deadly marker, get the bullseye. This is crucial because stacking 2 deadly markers will innately increase our team's damage potential because of the increased hit chance, critical chance, and cooldown speed of us and the party. Next, turn flash arrow into flash wave to do damage, but to also do AoE healing. And finally, for blitz, grab the cooldown reduction. Alright guys, let's move into the rotation. For the rotation, before the fight ever begins, make sure to use healing touch on your tank or whoever's going in on the boss to give them some healing stacks. Next, use deadly marker, then blitz to get your deadly marker back, then use deadly marker again. If you remember back to the specs, we added bullseye to give even more stacks, so this synergizes perfectly with blitz. Next, use touch of despair, time for punishment, decaying touch, then strafing while we wait for touch of despair's cooldown, then use touch of despair, and if you have 3 stacks, use curse explosion, and finish the rotation with flash arrow. The idea of this is to get as much single target damage on the boss as possible while also using our heals when needed. Remember, healing should still be our first thought, so make sure you are using healing touch as often as possible to help in the long run, swift healing for when you need it for emergencies, and fountain of life for getting our healing and mana up, as well as using flash arrow on teammates that are weak. And also, don't forget to use clay salvation when you need to get multiple teammates up. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you found it useful, feel free to like and subscribe for more healing content, and I'll see you in the next one.